why has the UK changed its tact on Israel? Is it because they've had this sudden come to Jesus moment? It's not. It's most likely not. It is for one reason, I think, in particular. It's because they've realised they have become very unpopular with a large section of the electorate who they thought they could just rely on their vote for, which is very strange because they lost a good chunk of voters over this issue in the last election, but they're now realising they are sinking like a sinking ship or something else that sinks, and they see, okay, well, we're bleeding voters for various reasons. Let's maybe do something small. Let's do some lip service right now. So this is from 3 days ago. We're basically talking about them calling out Israel and releasing that joint statement, which we will look at in a moment. But the BBC is very much like the mouthpiece of the way the government is going most of the time, especially on things like foreign affairs. It's where they're mostly like that. So the move follows warnings of starvation in Gaza after Israel launches a new military operation over the weekend. This was written 3 days ago, obviously. Basically, they came out and they said, even Starmer was called the current situation intolerable. Says, Mr. Speaker, humanitarian aid needs to get in. That's a terrible Starmer accent, sorry. Humanitarian aid needs to get in at pace. The House of Commons, there were, shame when they were talking about the Israeli minister saying cleansing Gaza, destroying what's left, relocating Palestinians to a third country, even though, they're overtly still saying Israel has a right to defend itself. They're saying, they shouldn't kill all these people. But the thing is, this doesn't include it. But when the likes of Zara Sultana and I think the head of the SNP in Westminster said, okay, are you guys going to take it to Parliament to basically pass laws to ban the sale of arms, to put sanctions on Israel, to investigate why the RAF is involved in spy missions over Gaza.
See the Foreign Secretary finally find some fire in his belly on this issue was certainly most appreciated, but long overdue. But ultimately, as has been mentioned earlier, the government is still a block to action. So would he support this House being given a vote on whether we support the work of the ICJ and the ICC or not? This House being given a vote on whether we will recognise the State of Palestine, and this House being given a vote on ending all arms sales to Israel.
Secretary.
David Lamb was like, oh, no, we're not going to do that. It's very clear they are doing this as lip service. They probably saw the continued condemnation of Israel. They might have seen about 500,000 people who went to the protest over the weekend last week. They probably saw that the French were being a little bit critiquing, or for lack of a better word, towards Israel. And they were like, well, I guess as France is doing it, why don't we get involved? And I guess Canada probably did the same thing. So let's look at that joint statement. So it's a few paragraphs long, but let's just quickly run through the first couple of paragraphs, or the first one and the last one. We strongly oppose the expansion of Israel's military operations in Gaza. The level of human suffering in Gaza is intolerable. Yesterday's announcement that Israel will allow a basic quantity of food into Gaza is wholly inadequate, which I'm surprised they actually called that out. I'm surprised they didn't say, that's great. We call on the Israeli government to stop its military operations in Gaza and immediately allow humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. This must include engaging with the UN to ensure a return to delivery of aid in line with humanitarian principles. We call on Hamas to release immediately the remaining hostages they have so cruelly held since the 7th of October. To be honest, Hamas have multiple times said, we'll give them back if you guys just go away. And Israel like, no, you can keep them. We don't care about that. Israel have openly said they don't care about the hostages, prisoners of war, as I like to call them. And at the end, we say, we continue to work with the Palestinian Authority, laughable, regional partners, Israel and the United States to finalize consensus on arrangements for Gaza's future, building on the Arab plan. We affirm that's, I think, the plan the Arab states put forward. We affirm the important role of the high-level two-state solution conference at the UN in June in building international consensus around this aim. We are committed to recognizing a Palestinian state as a contribution to achieving a two-state solution and are prepared to work with others on this end. They actually say that. Obviously, this is all three countries, but if I'm just talking about the UK, the UK also was asked, are you guys going to recognize Palestine as its own state? And they said, we're not going to do that right now. We'll think about it. I think it was another thing that was asked of them to put towards law. And even here, they're like, Israel suffered a heinous attack on October 7th. We have always supported Israel's right to defend Israelis against terrorism. But this escalation is totally disproportionate. Well, yeah, of course it's disproportionate. All Israel does is ever kill Palestinians, and they make money doing it. This is a very bare bones or bare minimum statement and bare minimum actions. You know, halting trade talks with Israel, and it's like, well, that's not gonna really negatively impact Israel. It's just not gonna give them an additional benefit. It's not going from 0 to -5. It's just going from 0 to 0. What really should be done is sanctions should be placed on Israel. The UK should cut all trade, not just stopping new trade deals. They should stop UK companies operating in Israel. They should be stopping Israeli companies operating in the UK. But they're going to give us lip service and think people will accept it. And it's worked for some people. Some people I've seen, obviously on the internet, it's very different. People on the internet. And they've been like, oh, awesome, David Lammy's great. It's so great that David Lammy's doing this. But in actuality, all David Lammy and Keir Starmer are doing are trying to shore up votes from somewhere. Because like I've said, Keir Starmer is a political comedian and will say whatever he hears in a press junket with his staff, who are like, Mr. Starmer, this might be a popular thing for you to say this week. It's just